Well, good day. Are you getting calls from your child's school regarding their behavior, their disruptive behavior? That's what we're going to talk about today. I'm Bonnie Leota. This is my husband, Thomas Leota, and we work with parents all over the globe online to help them live with more peace, harmony, happiness, cooperation, etc. And today we're going to be talking about creating a proactive success plan for your child when he goes to school to help you get rid of that disruptive behavior right now, and you'll stop getting calls from the school. How exciting would that be? All right, we're 1 minute before 6. I want to allow an opportunity for people to come on and join us live. If you have questions, maybe save them till the end. We're going to be about 45 minutes this evening before we wrap up. So go ahead, grab yourself a cup of tea or a glass of water, and we're going to get started in about 30 seconds. And Tom's just going to share a greeting here real quickly.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, this is wonderful. And, I'd like to praise all the parents out there right here, right now, that if your child has a label, or that you're in the process of going that route, or you just are kind of lost, there's a part of you that is thinking, I've been praying for a solution. It's not on my radar, but I know in my heart of heart, there's still something else out there. And I want to congratulate you that you haven't given up and you have a solemn belief, your heart of hearts as a great mom and a great dad, that no matter what situation you're in, you still have hope and you believe that your child can learn. You see, I believe it was Anne Sullivan who also had that belief that when she was introduced to Helen Keller, who was born deaf, blind, and mute, and she had that authentic, deep core belief that yes, everyone else gave up, no hope anywhere to be, but you believe that they could learn. And if you look at the history, Helen Keller became one of the best public speakers of her time because of the strength and the amazing miracle that a belief in our children can really make happen. And that's very true today. I applaud you for being here and believing that we can do something even under these extreme conditions.
Yes, we can. All right, we're going to do the opening again. Hello, Marta, Angela, Sarah, definitely a glass of wine. I heard that a glass of wine a day can actually help your heart. I don't know if that's true or not, but go for it.
Yeah.
All right.
Sarah's here.
Yeah.
And Brittany and Tammy.
Hi, welcome.
Wow, lots of everyone's. Welcome.
Lots of everyone's. And I just want to say that we were doing Thursdays, and then Tom's birthday fell on a Thursday, and then my daughter's birthday fell on a Thursday, and my birthday's next week. So we switched them to Friday for now. But hey, you know what? Watch the replay or watch us live. You're still going to get a ton of gold nuggets. Make sure you have a pad of paper and a pen handy because you're going to want to take notes. All right. So tonight we're talking about if you're getting calls from your child's school regarding their disruptive behavior and how to handle the teachers. We're Bonnie and Thomas Leota. We are creating champions for life, and we operate with principles that work for every child, every age, every husband and wife. All right. It works for everybody because these are principles. In fact, I don't know when, about 20 years ago, I read a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People. And if I had applied that book to my parenting life, I probably would have had a different parenting life. So I'm going to share with my story because I want you to know that I've been where you are. I once heard a public speaker say, you got to be careful who you listen to. You want to find somebody who used to be where you are and now have what you want. And that's me, because of this guy right here, Thomas Leota. When I met him, I had already been getting calls from the school for over 6 years because my son, who's now almost 22, was diagnosed with ADHD in grade 3. And I had been seeing therapists and counselors, and they had prescribed him medication, which I didn't believe in. It took me almost 6 years to actually go for it and get him medication because there were no other solutions that I could find. I was following parenting books. I was doing timeouts, takeaways, grounding, and all that stuff that we've been taught is positive discipline. But really, when you dissect it, it's not much more positive than when they used to beat children back 100 years ago. All they did, they kept the same exact formula, which is when the child does something wrong, you come in and do something wrong, and they're going to learn their lesson. But how many of you have heard 2 wrongs don't make a right? 2 wrongs don't make a right. We know this, we teach it to our kids, and yet we parent that way. So as I said in the description, we are going to challenge some of your beliefs tonight. I put a warning there, like only come to this presentation if you're ready to hear the truth about your child, about their disruptive behavior, and about the school and how they kind of correlate. So anyways, when I met Tom, 3 of my kids had actually been diagnosed with ADHD at that time. My youngest with ADHD and the worst case of oppositional defiant disorder that the psychologist at the school had ever seen. This was the 3rd classroom and 2nd school that my son was sent to by the time he was in grade 2. And when his substitute teacher didn't sharpen his pencil for him, he got angry and he stood up, grabbed his desk, threw his desk across the classroom, wiped out a bunch of other desks and some chairs, and they needed to evacuate the classroom when he continued to jump on a desk and from desk to desk to desk to desk out the door and locked himself in the bathroom. All right. And when I met Thomas, he didn't tell me that he knew anything about children. I had no idea that he had run a martial arts school with an after-school program with thousands of kids for over 15 years. I had no idea that he had developed these positive and proactive principles. But when I saw him actually speak with my children, I saw a different result, like immediately saw different results. When the first time I was going to get Zach to go to bed, and I was terrified because, I had my good mom hat on, right? I'm going to be the nicest mom I can possibly be because I have company over. And so I'm like, Zach, it's time for bed. And he automatically went into his whine. I don't want to go to bed. And Tom came around the corner, gave him a choice, asked him a question where Zachary actually had to think and make a decision. And I saw him take responsibility with a happy face as he went running to bed and stayed there all night for the first time in his life without a 2-hour screaming fit. We were able to take the same exact principles and make a plan with the school, which we're going to talk about, or Tom's going to talk about in just a little bit. But I want to give you a solid foundation, a foundation to work with, because when my children were being diagnosed, at first, I didn't believe that something could be wrong with my kids. But after 6 years of going through the system, I did start to believe it. And worse than that is my children actually believed it. They believed that they were unworthy. They believed that their brain was broken. They believed that they couldn't learn like the rest of the kids. And so it's going to start with the beliefs that you have, mom or dad, about the potential of your child in order to move forward to create success. And so to understand that all children are born with basically no life skills. They don't know how to hold a fork. They don't know how to hold a bottle. They don't know how to walk. They don't know how to sit in a chair. And so some other things that I want to mention here that they don't know how to do when they're a baby is self-control, focus, respect, responsibility, how to follow directions, how to negotiate, how to share toys, how to protect themselves from bullies, because really, our job is to prepare our children for the real world, right? Our job is to prepare our children for life. And if we as parents are going to be going into the school to protect our child from every bully and to, stand up for our child or be their little champion, which I'm totally for, be their champion, but you want to start thinking about, are you going to be there when they're going to college? Are you going to be there when they have a job? Are they going to have like a special needs person following them around their job to keep them focused on the task at hand? Or are they going to have to be completely independent by that time. They can get themselves out of bed, get themselves to work on time, work with good work ethic, stay off that phone, no texting friends during the workday, right? So you want to start thinking about these things in a proactive manner versus, oh my gosh, the school called, now what do I do? Oh my gosh, my child's doing this, now what do I do? So it's very similar to jumping out of an airplane without a parachute and then saying, oh, I jumped out of the plane, I forgot my parachute, now what do I do? Hi, Kimberly, welcome. I think it's your birthday. Happy birthday, Kimberly. You're here on your birthday to learn how to be a more proactive mom and how to empower your kids.
I love it.
I wanted to just talk a little bit more too about Helen Keller. Thomas talked about her at the beginning of the presentation, how she couldn't talk, she couldn't hear, and she couldn't see. And she was actually born being able to do that, but she had scarlet fever or something. And at about 18 months old, she lost those, what do you call them? Senses, right? Yeah. She couldn't see, she couldn't hear, she couldn't speak. And there's a scene in the movie about the documentary of her where she's, screaming and freaking out. And she actually goes to the dinner table and she grabs the dinner cloth and she pulls everything off the table, just freaking out. And her dad's going, oh my gosh, she needs to be sent to a psych ward. She needs to be in a hospital. There's no way that she could be here. And everybody started to buy into that idea, because what are you going to do with this child who can't speak, hear, or see? And yes, Anne Sullivan came in, and I don't think she was called a nanny. I can't remember what they called her at the time, but she came in and she began to communicate with Helen Keller by putting her hand on her throat, and she could feel the vibration. And so here was just one person in this little girl's life who believed that she could learn, who believed that if she actually just spent some time with her, she could do great things. And you know what? Helen Keller went on to do great things. She was one of the most motivational, inspirational speakers of the last century. Most people know who Helen Keller is, but she wasn't born that way. She was created to be a champion, right? And so to understand that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting different result. And just being a mom who's been there dealing with the schools now for the last, 14 years plus, I know it's the same thing over and over again, unless you, mom or dad, decide to take responsibility into your own hands and believe that your child can learn, because maybe they were just never taught how to follow directions, how to focus, and how to practice self-control. So I'm going to pass it to you, Thomas. You got some notes, because we take notes, because if we don't, we're going to lose our track of thought, right? And so are you. Take notes, because there's going to be so many gold nuggets in what Thomas says every minute of this presentation. And for those of you that have not met Thomas or have not worked with him, he actually owned and operated a martial arts school with a daycare, all-day summer camp, an after-school program. He had thousands of children sent to his school, most of them when they were being kicked out of traditional daycares, and he had to figure out something that would actually work, because he couldn't send them anywhere. He was their last hope. And what he teaches matches everything that I've learned in personal development over the last 25 years. If you're a Christian or you have some sort of spiritual faith, it follows everything being taught in our spiritual books as well. So if it works, if it worked for all those kids, it worked for me, it works for our clients, it can work for you too. So Thomas, take it away.
Okay. Well, this is exciting. When you think about, you get that dreaded phone call from the school, and how many of us know the ratio of like maybe 10 to 1? 10, we have a situation here, versus, oh my gosh, your child was amazing today. It's really almost like 10 to 1, maybe like slim and none on the positive side. So when we really think about getting ourselves prepared for that, what we've seen, or what the research has shown and what it teaches us, is that at the end of the day, so many times our kids are getting into a position now where parents, when they come to us, they're like, I I think we've done everything that we know how to do. It's not a matter is that the moms and dads out there have a good heart. They're doing, going. But when they get that call, they're like, well, we want to run some tests, or we would like to maybe see what's wrong. And they already start off with a negative idea, like there's something wrong or missing or what's happening here. And so you really have the ability to get yourself in a position to start to think like, well, what are my real options here? Because at the end of the day, parents were thinking, gosh, I've been doing this medication thing, but it just doesn't feel right. Like there's something inside. Or better yet, I don't want to medicate them. There's got to be something else we can do. Right? And so many times those phone calls lead down that route where they're going to get some testing. They're going to be looking at maybe that they need some extra help. And yes, and the school has all these things that they're going into, but it seems like if a parent starts to think, well, and they hang out with us and they understand that it's just a missing life skill that maybe they're missing. There's something missing here that they haven't learned yet. And so the parent can look at it this way. I either got to teach my kid a skill or I got to give them a pill. At the end of the day, when it's all said and done, you're going to find yourself in that position. What do you choose to do? Just ignore the whole situation, or know that you got to step up and teach them something they haven't learned yet, right? Or better yet, give them a pill. Because one thing that Creating Champions for Life believes is that if you're going to bring a child to an environment, like say school, at kindergarten, and your child had zero training of playing a game called Simon Says. Who many of us remember that game, right? Simon Says, raise your hands. Simon Says, put your hands down. Put your hands up. Oh, I'm out. Simon didn't say. And so many of these phone calls are all going to come down to the teacher said, and the child didn't follow the game. So therefore, there's got to be something wrong. They're out of the game. And in order to be in the game, they got to know how to follow the leader, understand how to follow directions. And without that training, especially being able to sit still, could you imagine having no training on how to sit still your whole entire life, and now you're in a new environment that expects you to sit anywhere from 1 to several hours at a time? And because you don't do it, there's got to be something wrong. Maybe it's just the child goes, I got to learn a skill, or I got to take that pill, right? If we had to decide, if there were part of you that would be like, oh my gosh, maybe there's something I could teach him. Maybe there's something I could learn that I could teach him. Or better yet, the child goes, if it is to be, it's up to me. I'm here to learn. And I know the learning curve goes as this. I'll never do anything right the first time. Was it walking, riding a bike? I'll never get it right the first time. It's that perseverance of overcoming the can'ts to the cans that really helps me develop my ability to learn. You see, if you ever would like to be part of the equation where you can create a learning disability, you could easily do that by doing everything for our children. You see, when you start to look at the animal kingdom, which is where we belong, and every animal that produces offspring follows this natural law, which means we do everything for our offspring, aka our children, the very first time, with the complete understanding that they're going to be able to learn how to do it 100% all on their own. And there's going to be a gestation time where we're starting to pass the responsibility baton to them. We do it for them so they can do a little bit more each time, and the shortest, quickest, fastest way for them to never need us anymore. That's the natural law in the animal kingdom. And when we're violating that, you can understand why all of these things are starting to pop up. Because when we get ourselves back in tune with knowing our role as a parent, it's to teach them those missing life skills. Don't ask for an easier life. Ask for the missing life skills to move more elegantly through life. As Bonnie alluded earlier, you're not going to be there for their whole life. They're not designed to be with you forever. The idea is to show them the shortest, quickest, fastest way so they can do, be, and have everything that's their goals, wants, needs, and desires. And they don't need you anymore. But when you begin to see that Creating Champions for Life believes, and when you believe that you are their advisor, you're their go-to Google. I have this idea that I want to become this. And they type it in. They say, Mom, I want to do this. I want a cookie. I would love for you to have a cookie. They're looking to you to find out, how does the cookie enter in this whole big scheme of things? Because when I ask 5 minutes before dinner and you say no, how do I know that? Show me how I can have the cookie. You see, so many times our children are stumped because we punish them. Right? You can stump a natural growth of this cycle by punishing, where when we can start to guide them and show them how they can do these so-called misbehaviors, right? Yelling. Where can a child yell in school? Well, that's called recess. Why would we ever have to say no to them? Show them where they can. And when we get back into that natural law, things start to click right back into place.
Awesome. Yeah, okay, that's awesome. And so I want to share this scenario with you because this is what we've been taught to do. So I want to make sure you understand there's no judgment from us here. We don't think you're doing anything wrong. We love you. We're here to help and support you. But somehow we've been taught that we own our children, right? Or we're completely responsible for everything they do, say, be, wear, right? And so I want you to imagine this. Thomas and I come to your house and you're learning Creating Champions for Life. You're learning to speak kid and you're trying to implement this. And every single time you went to say something or touch something, we were like, nope, we don't do that. Nope, that's not right. Nope, you're in a timeout. I'm taking this away. Okay, because we want you to fit into a box that we created, right? We're right, you're wrong. We know how to do this. You don't. So just listen to exactly what I'm telling you. No understanding or anything like that. If every time you reached out to do something or touch something or be something and we said no, would you shut down? Would you become upset, anxious, depressed? Would you become angry, start kicking your way out of the box, kicking, screaming, punching, or whatever? So when our children are misbehaving, whatever that is, whoever's definition that is, at school or at home even, when our child is misbehaving and we put them in detention or we suspend them or we somehow put a label on them that they're not in this perfect little box that you think that they should be in, and they start thinking my brain's broken because every time they go to do something, they get in trouble. Or every time they reach out or you know, they stand up in class, they don't know how to sit down at a desk. They really don't know unless you've actually taken time to practice with them. So I wanted to give you that scenario so you could, from a mental and spiritual position, put yourself in your child's shoes to understand what they're beginning to feel like as society, the teachers, and even us are placing them into what we think they should be and getting them to act the way we think they should act. You know, you'd be a lot more better off, wouldn't you, if we directed you on what you should do, like Tom was just saying. So when a child does something negative, and we talked about at the beginning, 2 wrongs don't make a right. We know this. But when a child does something we don't like, we call it defiant, disruptive behavior. Child do something we don't like, it's a negative vibration every single time. As we come in as an angry parent or an angry teacher, we're adding on more negative energy, even if it's just a lecture, even if it's just like a communication of talking. They don't really understand what you're saying, right? But when we come in with negative energy, we're going to equal more negative results. anger, a child label, depression, anxiety, no harmony in the home, lots of arguing and fighting, no harmony at school, bullying, being a victim. These all lie on the negative side of the spectrum. So if you want to switch over to healthy, happy, cooperative kids, we must do something different. We must create a proactive plan and begin to teach these life skills by showing and by practicing at home. In fact, one of our clients earlier today said that she took her 2-year-old to the dentist. They had practiced at home for an entire month how to sit in the dentist chair with your mouth open, what they're going to do. They're going to be poking around in there. And the dentist was amazed at this 2-year-old's cooperative behavior, but it was because mom had a proactive plan and mom totally explained to her child, showed him with action what it was going to look like at the dentist office. And they're able to learn as long as we're willing to teach them versus punishing them. We're going to put on an educational lens versus a behavioral lens, and everything will begin to change for you.
Mm-hmm. You know, one of our principles is number 10, which is complaining. And a lot of times that's what a cry is. It's a complaint, right? And in this particular case, you got this 2-year-old that when it really comes down to it, the complaint is rooted from the negative side of the equation is they don't know how to do it. Like how many is 2-year-olds know, like we're born with dentistry, proper procedures 101, right? We just don't know how. Or there's this thing that's called fear of the unknown, and we don't want to do what we think is going to be happening, right? So there's a complaint. But if you look on the positive side, right, it's the same message, higher vibration. It usually comes down to education and motivation, right? Don't know how to want to, or educate or motivate. Whatever your current mindset sees the world, this is going to resonate with you. So if it's education, Creating Champions for Life says, well, you've got 3 ways to do it. You got to go to the dentist. You could either ignore it and forget it and never go. That's one. Or you can go there with not having a clue, or you can prepare and be ready for when it shows up. I mean, what else really is there, right? Where's the 3? What's best for me? And in this particular case, there's the education. Right? The education is okay. They're going to ask you to do this. You're going to hear this. This is going to be the sound. You're going to do this. So now it's already been pre-planned and worked out. There's nothing to fear because you already know. It's the exact same experience. Which one has the higher vibration? And see, the power has always been in our hands, but for somewhere we kind of lost our way. We may not know, but if we can give ourselves permission to give ourselves the understanding of maybe I don't know that I don't know. That's part of the first stage of learning anything, right? None of us know what a caterpillar is until you see one. I didn't know. And so here we are as we begin to think by asking ourselves questions rather than just being told, right? Thinking is how we stimulate and learn how to think. We actually ask questions rather than just someone dictating. Well, what do you think it is? Right, it's a muscle. It takes action. You got to put it in there. So if we ask ourselves, who is older, us or our children? Now, I know this is very rhetorical, and I thank you for working with me, but you know we're going somewhere with it. And by you thinking, who's older? Well, I am. Right. And who decided to have kids? We did. Exactly. So who would we say is the leader? Well, I know they think I am. Okay, good. Now we're almost done. There's a universal principle called cause and effect. Every effect has a cause. Every cause has an effect. If you understand on any level, then you would ask yourself, who's the cause? And I know it might be a little incriminating at first. I got caught with some spinach in my teeth. It might be a little, I don't know, awkward. However, I'm the cause, and maybe the child's behavior is an effect to what I'm bringing to the table. Now, this magical aha moment might put you back in the driver's seat so you could actually understand that if I look at the child doing something that I don't like, AKA jumping up and down on my brand new couch, I agree 100%. That's not what it's designed for. You're 100% right in thinking that. But what did you see through your lens, your perspective? Did you see the child doing something you don't like? Positive or negative? We know it's negative. Or are you authentically seeing the child's goal? And a goal, by definition, is something you want, something you need, and maybe your heart desires, right? They love to jump. They're learning how this body works. And oh boy, I'm learning how to jump. And if we could see it as a goal, they feel positive. We now authentically, as the leadership, we can show follow the leader, right? We can show them where they can jump. You see, you never said yes or no, like yes, you can jump here, or no, that's bad. You show them where they can. Now, this is powerful if we can just take the moment to see that and guide them, which stimulates their growth, versus punish, which destroys their growth. Look at the power we have.
Awesome.
That, when you start to see that, and you're just missing the life skills of these principles to learn that we can share with you, the world is exactly where you would love it to be every single time if you're willing to work, because it will be work. It's simple,
Yeah.
but it may not be easy, and that's the truth.
Yeah, definitely. This is going to take some work when you wrap your head around what we're saying, because this could be the first time, or even if it's the third time that you've ever heard this before, it's new to you, right? It takes a lot amount of repetition in order to really get this and see what we're talking about. But I want to reiterate that you or your child, you are not a victim to circumstance here. You're the parent. You have some power. And when the teachers start calling you at home and you're beginning to now learn creating champions for life, you can go in there and instead of doing the testing, like, hey, we want to test your child. Well, yeah, they don't know how to focus and they're lacking self-control. That child is going to be diagnosed with ADHD. But if you can go in there with your teacher and you can hold your head up high and you're confident and you're learning some new skills now, and you understand you need to do some self-control training at home and whatnot, you can put together a 90-day plan and ask for a 90-day window to allow you to work with your child to begin to practice focus, practice self-control, practice respect, practice following directions in this more guiding behavior versus punishment, to give your child an authentic chance for success at school. Once you make the shift and your child's eyes wake up and they have a new zest for life and a reason why to go to school, which is, like Tom was talking about, what is their reward? What is it they're working towards? Mom, Dad, we know you want them to go to school because you want your child to do well, right? We know that you want your child to go to school, but your 6, 7, 8, 13-year-old has no idea the benefits of going to school. This is something that they have been forced to do since they went to kindergarten. It's something we do. Why? Have you ever thought about that before? Why do we send our kids to school? Do you have an answer? Besides, this is just what everybody does, right? What's your answer? What's your child's answer? What is it that they're working towards? What is it that the child is doing in the classroom that the teacher is calling you for? Write that answer down. What is your child doing in class that your teacher finds disruptive? When you write that down, then what is the corresponding life skill to practice at home for that child so that he can go to school knowing what's expected? Because I promise you, like, that 10-year-old, 7-year-old or whatever does not say, I'm going to go to school and get in trouble today. They're just living their life kind of oblivious to adult way of thinking, right? They don't get it. So we need to make them get it through actions, not through talking. because a child who is 6 or 7 cannot see the world in the same way that you do as an adult. They have not had the experience yet. They have no idea that a child that quits school and doesn't learn any of these life skills is going to end up on the streets. They don't know that. You know that, right? So we're working with today, but my point is we are not a victim to circumstance. We have personal power as parents, and as long as you go in there with a proactive plan, your teacher and the school will actually work with you versus against you.
You know, some of you, I've had people ask, and it's like, well, what does your shirt say? And see, the shirt is actually representing a mindset. I loved how Einstein brought to the world this idea for us to understand is that our mindset, it could be our beliefs, it's the way you see the things, but our mindset that creates this problem, call it what you want, it's something that's not working right. The mindset that creates this problem is the same mindset that can't fix it. And it took me a little while to wrap my head around. I'm like, so the same mindset that creates it can't fix it. That's why the second part makes so much sense, because if you could, why would you create it in the first place? Pretty powerful, right? So we have our own mindset that got us here, right? We saw it as something the child's doing wrong when they're just following their heart. They don't know how the world works yet, but that's negative. And then we're telling them, no, don't, can't, won't. That's not something you do. We're taking their dream and we're kind of raining on their parade. They feel negative. That environment will always create something negative. And then on top of it, if we start to buy into this belief that there's something wrong with the kid and we're going to blame him, then we go round and around. But when we switch it around and have that child's goal, oh my gosh, they feel excited. There's positive energy there. And then they look to us to show them how it works and where can they do it? This is key. Where can they do it? Positive. That shifts everything around. And so now when you're inside the school, what I found, and it might have just happened by accident, because once again, when I was working with these kids, I never thought of a parenting program. They were bringing their kids to me going, can you fix this guy? And I'm like, yeah, it's going to take some work, but we can definitely make it happen. And so when they would come in, they were in the after school program. So we picked them up from school. And what that did is it gave me access to walk in and say, hi, Mrs. Jones. I'm Timmy's martial art instructor. You're his teacher. And we started to have a relationship. So how does he do in classroom? I communicated with the teacher. This is all proactive. So I had the parent, I had the teacher, and then they spent anywhere between 3 to 10 hours with me every day, depending on if it was summer or after school. And so when we put those 3, there's a power of 3, right? You put 3 elements together, fire shows up. 2 hydrogen, 1 oxygen, you got water. When you had home, school, and an after-school program that develops, that's when the magic started happening. So I knew that there was things they wanted to do in the classroom. That was their goal. I would love for you to be able to play this game or do this in the classroom. And I had a parent-approved plan, right? It was, how well are you doing in school? Well, and so what we ended up doing is having a form that our parents could do when they had these issues, is that you could take this sheet, the child takes it to the classroom, and it had something real simple on it. Attendance, right? On time, and were they at the classroom? Just a simple initial from the teacher. Was their assignments turned in, right? Anything missing? Pretty simple. And how well did they play the Simon Says game during class? How well did they operate with everyone else, better known as cooperate? Co is a prefix for with. How well did they do? 1, they did something. Could be completely negative. They were whatever it is. That would be a 1. If they did something in the middle, kind of like, well, there really wasn't nothing negative, nothing outstanding. They did okay. Or they were like, oh, good attitude. Yes, ma'am. You know what? Getting right on it. They had their homework out first before the teacher even asked. It allowed them to be recognized, right? Because whatever is recognized and rewarded is always repeated. Whatever we recognize and is rewarded will always be repeated. So if they give us negative and we reward them just to shut them up, well, we wonder why they keep doing it, because it works. That's what a cry is. That's what a temper tantrum is. It's recognized and then it's rewarded. Well, that's why it's repeated. But what if we recognize what we caught them doing right? Same energy, same amount of time, energy, and effort, but it has a higher vibration. What if you recognize and you rewarded, it would be repeated. This is what's so powerful. It's always been in our hands, and parents who follow this see that this form that the child sends comes back home could be the stepping stone for whatever they wanted to do, because how well they did within the classroom could be that favorite TV show that they like to watch at night.
Yep.
Go to their friend's house. It's all about their goals. How can they? They're looking to you for that authentic leadership. How do you make that TV show up? That's when we can show them how we do it. Then the real game of follow the leader can follow right into place. And boy, we're just getting started on all the options that you can do to be on the positive spectrum.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. So you can go to the school and say, hey, you know what? I'm learning a new thing here. I'm finding that I'm motivating my child. I'm practicing these skills with him at home. We need a 90-day window before we do any kind of testing or anything like that. We need a 90-day window for this to work. Then you create your form, like Tom said, for every classroom. Bare minimum, average, outstanding. Was he disruptive in classroom? What does that mean? So now you can show your child at home during practice time what it looks like to be disruptive and what corresponding reward are they going to get? So we always used to say that when the kids came home from school, it was the school signature form that unlocked the Pandora box for privileges in the home. And just let me tell you this, my son was 15 when we implemented this. And I remember him, he didn't want to do his homework, something like that. And so we just let him not do his homework, and he showed up for dinner, and we had drawn out bare minimum, average, or outstanding what dinner would look like. We owe our kids food, but we don't owe them a 3-course dinner, right? And so we had, juice or chocolate milk or something fun like that. We had the spaghetti with the meatballs and the sauce and the salad and the garlic bread. Well, when he showed up, bare minimum, he got spaghetti and sauce, right? Probably a meatball or something, but he didn't get the garlic bread. That's my point. It's like, I would love for you to have garlic bread. What needs to be done at school to unlock the Pandora's box of what you really, really want, which is garlic toast to go with it, right? Oh, he was so mad. He had this huge screaming, like 2-year-old toddler temper tantrum because he wanted the garlic bread. But we just showed him how he could make it show up. And then the next day, he did all of his schoolwork and just little things like this, the privileges of Pandora's box when it opens up, because they do what you're asking them to do at school, it changes everything. Kira was 13. She was a straight C average student. She did not believe in herself. We set the bare minimum, average, outstanding. Outstanding is getting A's in your classes. She's like, I can't get A's. I can only get C's. And so we maintained our integrity that you can get C's or you can get your homework done every day, pay attention, whatever. And she ended up graduating from high school on the honor roll, like not just graduating high school, but on the honor roll. And now she excels at everything in her life. It has become ingrained in her. It has become habitual for her to excel in everything in her life. My 21-year-old son, Jacob, with the garlic bread, he is 21, working full-time at Costco. He's actually getting a supervisor's position, which is just a little over $30 an hour plus benefits at the age of 21. You don't want to know where I was at the age of 21, but it definitely wasn't supervising a big store like Costco, right? Jenny just turned 18. She went out the other day and got her own cell phone with her own money and her own name. She's working a full-time job. I mean, I'm telling you what, This stuff works. It will change your life. It'll change your kids' lives. They will start believing in themselves when you can believe in them more than the disruptive behavior. Like we've said for the last 45 minutes now, when you can look at them with an educational lens versus a behavioral lens, and you fill in the missing blanks with this is what we do to get what's important to you, your child will now have a why. Napoleon Hill wrote Think and Grow Rich. He also wrote The Laws of Success 100 years ago. And we were listening to an audio the other day, and I was like, Tom, the answer is right there. He says, no one has the right to ask anything of anyone without sufficient motive. Do you know that they cannot send somebody to prison for murder or even second-degree murder, even if they know they did it without a motive? If there's no motive, there's no case, you guys. We get up, we study because we have a motive. You and I get up, we go to work, we have a motive for a paycheck so we can buy groceries and pay our bills and keep a roof over our head. What is your child's motive for going to school and sitting in a classroom and following rules besides you told them so they need to be in your box and be exactly what you and the teachers say that they should be? What is their motive for getting up and going to school and excelling in their school? These are the things that we must begin to think about. This is the way to, successful, happy, healthy, cooperative kids. And yeah, a proactive plan, beginning to think, oh, my child's disruptive in class. Better do some self-control training at home. This is what it's like to sit in a classroom at your desk and pay attention if you want to open up all the video game time after you get home. If you want to open up all the TV time. If you want to have your freedom at age 15, 16, guess what? You better be getting A's and B's in your classroom, showing up, good attendance, and doing what we can control. We can't control what we've grasped in school all the 7 years before, but we can control what we think about and what we plan moving forward. We can take responsibility for our own lives and the lives of our children, and we can make the difference. There's not one teacher, not one therapist, not one counselor that loves and cares for your child's success more than you do. And that's why we step up and become mother, father, infantry, and we champion for our kids with 100% belief that yes, they can learn if we take the time to, number one, motivate them, and number two, teach them.
Yes. And so here it was. This is the mindset as Bonnie was talking about, right? I'm not just any dad, right? Or I'm not just any mom, right?
Creating champions for life, mom.
Right. I'm a creating champions for life, mom or dad.
Yep.
And when you have that particular idea that yes, you know what? I'm here to show you how this world works. Of course you don't know how it works. How can I condemn you on any level when I never took time to teach you how to make what's important happen for you? So powerful, right? And so when you can make anything a game for these kids, I have literally seen with every single case study, with every single child, 100% of the time, that there was always an improvement. That when you had a child who felt like, well, they're not engaging, right? And it was a simple fact of, well, are people telling them what to do, or are they asking them questions how they think it can happen? There was a question here is like, what specific CCFL focus exercise for a 7.5-year-old? Age is irrelevant, right?
Yep.
I love to have impulse control. Okay, well, impulse comes from the ability is I am in control of my body and my actions. I know that I'm going to have lots of impulses. That means your brain's working.
Yes.
They're there. Now, these impulses are going to be positive thoughts, negative thoughts, or just some thoughts that I probably don't give a time to, right? And if I can pick those, yeah, you can. When kids called you names, right? The focus is, what are you choosing to see, little Timmy? Like, one of the best things is What kind of day are you choosing to have? See, we send them off going, okay, have a nice day.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You see how that's dictation? We're not even letting them think. What kind of day do you like to have? And whichever one they choose can actually happen. So much power.
Yeah.
So much power.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. Okay, we're coming to the end. It's 6:47. We thought we would be done at 6:45. You guys, just to summarize everything that we talked about here, your child was born with 0 life skills. They don't know the expectations of their teacher in kindergarten, grade 1, grade 2. And if all we've done is take things away and punish them and tell them that they're wrong, they still have no idea what's expected. They don't hate you. They begin to hate themselves. They begin to not believe in themselves. So the formula that I've always learned in business was goal, plan, action, perseverance. Put it in writing, focus on it every day. So when Tom presented goal, plan, action, perseverance to me 8 years ago, I was like, what? We can parent that way? Oh my gosh, this was so cool. Create a proactive plan. Make a plan with your child that everything that they do in school either opens or closes Pandora box of privileges at home, and begin practicing those life skills.
Yes.
You might not think they need to, but they need to be shown how to sit in a chair properly to get the most reward that's important to them. This was really powerful, but usually what happens is we hear an idea and then our mind goes to think on that idea and then we miss the next point. So I would repeat this a couple of times. We can't share anything else because you're going to be like that horse with a hose in their face going, whoa, like you threw so much stuff at me. So I'm like, Tom, that's enough. We gotta close this up. But there is a way. Where there's a will, there is a way to help your child be successful at home, at school, and beyond. If you're just getting to know us now, make sure to go to learntospeakkid.com, download and read Raising Healthy, Happy, Cooperative Kids. You guys, it's been described as the most real, relevant, and powerful information for parents to exist. It's going to show you the pathway to all child mental health and behavior disorders, and then it's going to show you the pathway to healthy, happy, cooperative kids. It's completely up to you. If you have any questions or comments, please post them in the comments section below. We are here to serve you. We are here to help you get to the other side, the positive side, the light side of parenting. Thanks so much for being here live, and we'll see you next week. I'll post in the events what day and time for sure. Okay, bye-bye.